Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another episode of 365 Days of Gaming. Really appreciate you taking time to check out this video. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all greatly appreciated, so thank you in advance. Now today's episode, we're going back to the fighting games. And since this is the last fighting game, I wanted to pick one that may not be expected, but I'm telling you it's definitely a good game. So let's talk about Injustice 2. Right off the bat, Injustice 2 has the turtles in it. So there's no way it could be a bad game. Just wanted to point that out. But there are so many other really good things about this game. First and foremost, if you're not familiar with the Injustice series, essentially it is NetherRealm's take on a DC fighter, but not like the Mortal Kombat versus DC. You know, this is its own world, and you know, although there are some MK characters that jump in it, it is mainly just the DC characters. And the stories are, to me, the same level of production that they've done with the Mortal Kombat series, which is one of the reasons this game stands out so much to me. Another thing is, like, this game, the Injustice series, for me, represented DC doing something to the same level that the Marvel properties have gotten, you know, fighting game wise. You know, back on the SNES, you had the Justice League fighting game, which wasn't bad, but it wasn't, you know, great. And plus we didn't get a lot of entries into it. And then all of a sudden, when you get the Marvel vs. Capcom series, now you're seeing all of this crossing over for the Marvel side, and they're, you know, becoming into the fighting game scene and everything like that, while DC kind of was just on the wayside. And then they did MK versus DC, but that just wasn't as good. So with Injustice, it's got its own, you know, it's a familiar NetherRealm style fighter, but it's got its own wrinkles, much more involved with the environment, things like that. And I really think this game is one of the most like beginner friendly games, as far as you can, you know, do some cool stuff without really knowing too much. You know, you can button mash and get some nice stuff to happen. And then the super moves are just like, you know, L2, R2. So you can see some good stuff without actually knowing that much about, you know, any fighting game for that matter, which is always good. But then obviously, if you take time and put the work in, this is a very deep fighter, and you can, you know, do some really cool things, and you don't have to worry about anybody jabbing you to death, but you can definitely do some cool stuff. And they got so many characters. You know, I mentioned that having the turtles in there, but I mean, just the DC roster alone is fantastic. Obviously, you got your mainstays and your stalwarts, like, you know, Batman, Superman, now Harley Quinn and the Joker being much more common in these DC properties. You know, you got Flash, Green Lantern. One of my favorite characters was Atrocitus, who was a Red Lantern who was all about anger and rage. Yeah, and then you have, you know, Supergirl, you got Blue Beetle, Dr. Fate, you know, just, I mean, Swamp Thing is in here. You know, who thought Swamp Thing would be in here? Black Adam, and just all of these other characters, plus all the people they added, like Starfire, Raiden, Sub-Zero, you know, and of course, again, the Turtles. Anytime I can mention the Turtles is in this game, I'll probably throw that out there just as a, you know, little factoid. But this was one of like the last fighting games too that I put a lot of work in, because it had a loot system, which I thought was fantastic. So not only do you know, obviously have this really great fighting game, but they gave you so much more incentive to keep playing. You get to customize your characters' visuals, but also it customizes their stats, like their power levels. And that was like a really cool thing. It's something that I hope we see more of from non-NetherRealm fighting games. So like Street Fighter 6 is coming up. Be really cool if we saw some sort of like loot system customization, not just me buying skins, but like actually customizing these characters and seeing, you know, the changes. And, you know, they had move augmentation, so moves would react differently with certain, you know, equipment and things like that. It was just really cool to see. But I don't want to hold you too long, so I just wanted to, you know, show some love to Injustice 2, because I think it's a fantastic fighting game. If you've played this game, favorite characters, you know, there's not really a bad one in here, but I love to hear your favorite characters. And as always, I appreciate you letting me reminisce with you. Y'all have fun. Y'all be safe. Peace.